Hey guys, I'm Bruce and I'm back with another awesome video. I still remember when Wi-Fi was a dream and RGB keyboards were a personality trait. We booted up our DOS machines to step into pixelated power fantasies. Cyberpunk heists, alien war zones, and dungeons so dark they made our CRT monitors cry. I lived for those VGA bursting shooters and slow-burn dungeon crawlers where every sound card beep felt like magic. Shareware was king and tweaking that autoexec.bat was a sacred ritual. In this countdown, I'm taking us on a digital DeLorean back to the 90s with the top 40 best of the best DOS games that will portal you back in the 90s. So fire up your emulators and let's dive in together.
War never changes. The Romans waged war to gather slaves and wealth. Spain built an empire from its lust for gold and territory.
Fallout. Waking up in an underground metal tomb, you're told the world outside is not just bad, it's fried, nuked, and crawling with mutants who think your spleen is a snack. With only a pistol, some bottle caps, and a dream, you step out into the smoldering, sun-scorched wasteland to find a water chip. And possibly your sanity. Set in a 22nd century America, where the 1950s never emotionally ended, this post-apocalyptic RPG turns desolation into delightful sandbox storytelling. You'll meet cannibals, cults, deathclaws, and maybe accidentally nuke a town. Choices matter, and sometimes they're morally messier than a Radroach buffet. This turn-based legend used the special system, not just because it's a clever acronym, but because every stat, from luck to charisma, can change the tide of battle or the outcome of a conversation with a gang of raiders who really want your shoes. You'll recruit companions, blast super mutants, and possibly become a hero, a villain, or an irradiated hermit depending on your karma. It's gritty, goofy, and guaranteed to hook you like a Vault Boy bobblehead on a dashboard. XCOM UFO Defense. Absolutely no one expects a peaceful start to 1999 when your radar lights up like a disco ball and your scientists start asking for alien autopsy volunteers. Running a secret global defense force is no desk job. You're balancing the world's hope on your shoulders while begging the Council of Nations for just a few more bucks to build another base in Siberia. In this grimly tactical gem, you'll intercept unidentified objects, research dismembered extraterrestrials, and somehow lose a guy named Steve every time he walks off the Sky Ranger. Poor Steve. Always Steve. On the big map, you're managing personnel, directing research into plasma weapons and flying suits, selling ET's weapons on the black market, ethically gray but rents due, and figuring out which of your soldiers is secretly terrible at aiming. Then, once boots hit the ground, you're plunged into tense, turn-based combat where a single alien hiding behind a bush can decimate your squad. Buildings explode, morale crumbles, rookie panic is real, and just when you think you've got it under control, bam! Sectoids with mind control make your best sniper shoot your own medic.
Now, my champion, rest well this night, for tomorrow you sail for the kingdom of Daggerfall.
The Elder Scrolls II Daggerfall. Absolutely sprawling and slightly insane, just how fantasy epics should be. One moment you're delivering a ghost-busting favor for the Emperor, and the next, you're juggling 6 possible endings involving necromancers, undead kings, elvish fascists, brass giants, and orc warlords with political ambitions. Set in the foggy coasts and dagger-drenched dungeons of the Iliac Bay, this glorious madness hands you a dagger, a spellbook, and says, "Good luck, mortal." Whether you're freeing restless spirits or tracking down the magical battery pack for a god mech known as Numidium, the stakes are basically accidentally create a new god, or doom Tamriel forever. There are over 15,000 explorable locations. Yes, 15,000. Want to join a knightly order, enchant a sword, date a vampire, or turn into a wereboar and rent a haunted shack in a swamp? You do you. Combat is mouse-swingy mayhem. The magic system lets you make your own spells, and the world reacts to your rep like a moody high school. It's janky, it's buggy, it's bold, and all of it running on good old MS-DOS. Ambitious doesn't even begin to cover it. It's like Bethesda tried to cram the entirety of fantasy literature into a floppy disk, and mostly succeeded. Master of Orion. A galaxy full of mystery, hostile fungi, and diplomatic backstabbing awaits. And you're the one in charge of keeping your species from going extinct, or doing a little galactic cleansing yourself. With only a colony ship, a couple of scouts, and some cosmic ambition, you'll explore the stars, bump into psychic lizards, cybernetic ants, and sneaky shapeshifters, and eventually try to vote yourself emperor like a sneaky space Napoleon. It's civilization in space, if Gandhi had nuclear warheads strapped to flying saucers. Managing planets is a delightful exercise in slider worship. Want to terraform a volcanic hellhole into a suburban paradise? Sure. Want to build a fleet of invisible missile boats that sneak past enemy defenses and drop planet-crushing bombs? Oh yes, each race brings its own flavor, whether it's the trade-happy humans or the rock-eating silicoids who colonize literal lava balls. Diplomacy is fickle, alliances are temporary, and everyone's smiling until they drop a bioweapon on your lush garden world. Trust no one, especially not the Darlocks. Jazz Jackrabbit. Somewhere between a sugar rush and a sci-fi fever dream, a green rabbit strapped with a blaster takes off running, and you're along for the ride whether you like it or not. Inspired by the tortoise and the hare but remixed with space lizards, warp zones, and gunfire, this platformer moves at a speed that would make Sonic sweat. The mission? Rescue Princess Eva from Devon Shell, a turtle-mad scientist with a grudge, a la Bowser on espresso shots. And yes, the whole thing is so D's it practically bleeds neon. Zooming across side-scrolling alien planets, you'll double jump, rocket slide, and blast your way through waves of enemies while collecting carrots like they're priceless currency. The levels are bright, varied, and full of secrets. One minute you're in a medieval future castle, the next you're outrunning UFOs in a cyberpunk jungle. The music is jammin', the controls are tight, and Jazz's one-liners are cheesy in all the right ways. But don't let the cartoon charm fool you. This game can get brutal in later stages, with twitchy reflexes required just to stay alive. Tyrian. An ordinary mining trip turns into an interstellar hit list when your best bud gets blasted for knowing too much about a suspicious substance called gravidium. Because of course, the galaxy runs on space MacGuffin. Armed with vengeance and a ship held together by sarcasm and laser bolts, you, Trent Hawkins, zip off into the cosmos to blow up everything Microsoft ever loved. Set in the year 20,031, because why not, this pixel-perfect vertical shooter doesn't just let you shoot, it lets you upgrade, customize, and annihilate like a caffeinated R&D department with a grudge. The action is fast, the screen is chaos, and the story is shockingly deep for a game where your main tool is an atomic railgun. Between branching plot paths, hidden codes, and a literal shopping spree between stages for weapons, shields, engines, and sidekicks, yes, flying sidekicks, you'll feel like you're piloting a DIY death frisbee through bullet hell. The arcade mode throws in two-player mayhem, secret power-ups, and ridiculous weapons with names like Soul of Zinglon. Oh, and the minigames? One's basically Galaga on acid. Turrican 2: The Final Fight. Aliens board your ship, kill your crew, and your only response is to hop into a high-tech supersuit and scream revenge like a galactic action hero? Now that's a Saturday morning cartoon with extra lasers. After the Avalon 1 gets shredded by mutant invaders and Emperor the Machine does his evil monologue thing, lone survivor Bren Maguire zips himself into the shiny Turrican armor and turns into a one-man army with a grudge. Spoiler alert, the Machine picked the wrong space guy to mess with. What follows is a beautifully chaotic run-and-gun rampage through 5 sprawling worlds that somehow feel bigger than your entire hard drive. You'll jump, shoot, morph into a spinning death ball, and unleash screen-frying power shots with a weapon system that basically screams, "Subtlety is for cowards." Enemies come in all shapes, mostly mechanical and very bitey, while bosses take up half the screen and 10 times your patience.
In his absence, the princess fell in love with a young traveler who climbed the palace wall to see her.
Prince of Persia 2: The Shadow and the Flame. 11 days after saving the kingdom, our beloved hero finds himself magically mugged of his identity, tossed from the palace like last week's hummus, and replaced by Jaffer in a knockoff cosplay robe. Turns out the evil wizard didn't die, he just leveled up in deception. Now our prince is broke, barefoot, and betrayed, forced to flee Persia while everyone treats the imposter like royalty. If soap operas had sword fights and collapsing skeletons, this would be it. The game ups the stakes from its predecessor by adding more enemies, tougher traps, and multi-enemy combat that feels like a mosh pit in a medieval gymnasium. Gone are the quiet duels of the first game. Here you're swinging swords like you're headlining Persian WrestleMania. You'll drink mysterious potions, some of which actually try to kill you, leap through crumbling caves, duel goblin heads, and even ride a magic carpet and a flying horse. Every step forward feels earned and painful. Descent. Forget gravity, floors, or the idea that up is even a real thing. Here you're strapped into a spaceship that spins, rolls, yaws, and dives through claustrophobic tunnels like a caffeinated drone in a zero-G blender. You're the Material Defender, a glorified mercenary janitor with missiles, tasked with blasting infected mining robots and nuking reactors in increasingly remote space facilities. And just when you're about to escape, boom! The mine starts collapsing, and you better pray you remember which direction is out. This genre-defying chaos fest mashed together first-person shooters and space simulators to create the first truly 3D FPS where 6 degrees of freedom meant 6 degrees of disorientation. Your cockpit HUD becomes your lifeline as you dodge homing missiles, pick up shield orbs, and wrestle with your own spatial confusion. There are 30 levels of labyrinthine madness, complete with laser-firing robots, locked doors requiring color-coded keys, and reactor meltdowns that kickstart heart attacks.
Know then that it is the year 10,191. The known universe is ruled by the Padishah Emperor Shaddam IV, my father.
Dune. You start out as a noble son of House Atreides, and before you know it, you're psychic, worm-riding, and leading a planet-wide insurgency against the Harkonnen while micromanaging desert farming. No pressure, Muad'Dib. In this genre-defying blend of adventure and strategy, you play as Paul Atreides, stuck on Arrakis, where everyone wants your spice, or your head. But instead of just swinging a sword, you'll be diplomatically sweet-talking Fremen tribes, managing spice quotas to keep the Emperor off your back, and juggling ornithopter flight plans like it's an interstellar Uber schedule. The real genius is how it plays like 2 games stapled together with style. On one side, you're exploring locations, talking to characters, and developing your mysterious powers. On the other, you're zooming out to the planetary map to direct spice mining, assign weapons, and yell at Gurney to stop playing the balisette and train your troops. Every decision has consequences. Overmining risks ambushes, overfighting drains resources, and if you ignore ecology, well, good luck terraforming a planet with the personality of a hairdryer. Alone in the Dark. A haunted mansion, creeping shadows, and one very unlucky private investigator. Welcome to the granddaddy of survival horror. Long before zombies shuffled through Raccoon City, Alone in the Dark dropped you in Derceto Mansion with nothing but polygonal courage and tank controls. You play as Edward Carnby, or in rare cases, someone even more doomed, investigating the suspicious suicide of an artist in a cursed Louisiana estate. Of course, you're immediately surrounded by Lovecraftian horrors, undead things with too many limbs and furniture that wants to kill you. Yes, even the furniture. This 1992 DOS classic didn't just pioneer survival horror, it did it in full 3D, mixing pre-rendered backgrounds with polygonal characters like a pixelated fever dream. You explore rooms filled with cryptic puzzles, cursed tomes and shambling nightmares, all while trying not to run out of lamp oil or your sanity. The fixed camera angles are cinematic, until they betray you in a tight hallway. Combat is clunky in that charming "what am I swinging at" retro way, but the horror? Timeless. Blackthorne. Gun in one hand, mullet in the wind, and a vendetta written in shotgun shells. Kyle Vlaros is back from Earth, and he's here to clean house on an alien planet full of mutant goons and brooding shadows. Sent away as a baby prince with a magical rock and a destiny, he returns 20 years later as a one-man army called Blackthorne. And let's just say, diplomacy is not on the table, unless diplomacy is delivered via pump-action blast to the chest. This cinematic platformer doesn't mess around. You'll be navigating moody industrial mines, eerie swamps, wastelands, and spooky castles, all filled with trigger-happy monsters who have mastered the ancient art of duck and cover. And so have you. Combat is a stylish dance of back-against-the-wall shootouts, slick blind-fire trick shots, and slow, deliberate movements that make every encounter feel like a John Woo scene staged in a metal album cover. Oh, and yes, you can blow away prisoners if you're feeling edgy, but you'll regret it later. Tough guy. Syndicate. Corporate sabotage has never looked so slick or sounded so crunchy. In this cyberpunk reboot of a classic tactics series, you're Miles Kilo, a Eurocorp agent in 2069 who solves intercorporate disagreements the old-fashioned way, with bullets, backdoor hacks, and the occasional brain-melting suicide order. Gone is the overhead strategy view of the originals. Now it's you, first-person, trench coat on, shotgun in hand, and a chip in your brain that makes your enemies' heads your personal remote control buttons. Combat is fast, loud, and ridiculously stylish. 1 second you're popping around corners with a Gauss gun that homes in like a heat-seeking boomerang. The next you're slowing time with your Dart 6 chip and telling one guy to backfire his gun while another persuades his buddy to help before turning it on himself. It's like Inception, but with more blood splatter and less brooding. Environmental hacking lets you tear down doors, disable turrets, or defuse explosives mid-gunfight, all while your augmented HUD keeps everything glowing orange and extremely cool-looking.
We'll need medical personnel. I don't think medics are gonna help this one. Ops! Man down in cargo bay 13, requesting immediate assistance.
Crusader no regret. If Doomguy wore a red power suit, loved blowing up computer terminals, and had a deep distrust of any government acronym, he'd probably be the silencer. Picking up just 46 hours after No Remorse, this standalone sequel drops you onto the moon where things are bleaker, meaner, and way more explodey. No shops, no bribes, no regrets, just you, a horde of new weapons, and enough enemies to fill a villain convention. Gone are the stealthy workarounds of the original. This time, you're shooting, shattering, vaporizing, and occasionally melting foes into gooey puddles with experimental sci-fi hardware. The restriction on carrying 5 guns? Scrapped. You're now a walking arsenal of doom, and the moon's WEC prison mining colony has no idea what's about to hit it. Combat is fast, brutal, and deeply satisfying. Every switch you flip, every console you shoot, every room you reduce to rubble screams, Industrial Revolution meets explosive therapy. Hexen? And imagine you're lost, but this one's no ordinary experience, especially when you're knee-deep in undead monks teleporting between crypts and slinging arcane fireballs like it's casual Friday at a cursed monastery. This wasn't your average point A to point B blaster. No, this magical mayhem fest throws you into hub-based levels that demand backtracking, puzzle-solving, and a healthy dose of patience. Or just brute force, depending on your character class of choice. You've got 3 flavors of pain to pick from: a sword-swinging tank who solves problems with uppercuts, a divine brawler with holy grenades, or a fragile mage who vaporizes enemies with ranged magic and zero regard for close quarters. Each class brings a new set of weapons and a completely different feel to the chaos, from meat grinder melee to elegant spell-flinging sniping. Even the items in your bag of tricks behave differently depending on who's using them, so yes, that gas bomb might be a misty fart for one, but a toxic death cloud for another. Silent Hunter. Sometimes the quietest games are the deadliest ones, especially when your entire existence depends on not making a ripple in the Pacific. You're commanding a stealthy underwater war machine armed with torpedoes, radar, and the occasional well-timed prayer. Forget Hollywood explosions. This is tension served cold, where the biggest thrill is watching your sonar ping and realizing that destroyer up ahead is coming for you. Patrol duty starts just as the US declares war on Japan, and from that moment on, it's a test of stealth, timing, and whether you remembered to dive before the depth charges started dropping. You'll get missions beyond just blowing things up, like snapping scenic beach photos through your periscope, seriously, or playing deep-sea Uber to stranded pilots. But don't get too relaxed. 2 dud patrols in a row, and you're relieved of command. It's realistic, brutal, and weirdly motivational. Each successful mission earns you medals and bigger, badder submarines, from rusty old S-boats to shiny Balau-class beauties with radar tech that'd make Batman blush. Star Wars TIE Fighter. It's not every day you get to be the bad guy and enjoy every second of it. You're no rogue smuggler or Jedi Knight. You're an elite pilot in a shiny black bucket seat, enforcing the Emperor's galactic version of peace. In this space opera gone dark mode, you're blasting rebels, pirates, rogue Imperials, and anyone else who dares wrinkle the Empire's press uniform order. Oh, and you do it all without shields half the time, because fear and speed are your armor. This slick flight sim drops you right into the cockpit of classic Imperial starfighters, from the squishy TIE Fighter to the absolute unit known as the TIE Defender. Each mission throws you into the chaos of 3D space dogfights, full of laser trails, panic-inducing radio chatter, and a HUD that's one toggle short of launching Death Stars. Between missions, you'll explore a moody, shadow-lit concourse, train in flight sims, and get pulled aside by a spooky figure whispering about unofficial assignments from the Emperor's inner circle. Yeah, you're flying secret missions inside secret missions. Rebel Assault. Sometimes you just want to sit back, grab the joystick, and blast TIE fighters like it's 1993, and this game absolutely delivers that rail-riding, FMV-fueled chaos in full throttle. You play as Rookie One, the galaxy's most determined recruit since Luke ditched his farm life. The entire adventure is 1 part training montage, 1 part full-blown Rebel Alliance recruitment ad, and 10 parts non-stop laser-slinging mayhem. Everything feels like a Star Wars fever dream from the early CD-ROM era. Digitized models, full-motion video, pre-rendered backgrounds. It's like LucasArts looked at arcade cabinets and said, let's make this thing talk, scream, and explode on your PC. Missions switch between third-person chase scenes, overhead trench runs, cockpit tunnel dodging, and even a rare foot mission where you're ducking and rolling like a rebel John McClane. And don't expect to just dodge your way through. It's aim or be space dust. The game plays like a light gun shooter in disguise, where your targeting reticle is your only hope and prayer.
Special power.
The Chaos Engine. Steam, circuitry, and total anarchy. Welcome to a version of Victorian England that's been absolutely wrecked by a machine with god-complex levels of malfunction. The world of this top-down shooter is drenched in oil-slicked dread and brass-plated madness, and at the center of it all is the Chaos Engine, a sentient steampunk catastrophe built by a genius who should have really kept his screwdriver to himself. As one of 6 eccentric mercenaries, from a brutish navvy to a mysterious gentleman, you'll blast through a techno-mutated Britain in single-player or co-op chaos. Your journey takes you through moody forests, corrupted mansions, freaky factories, and down into bizarre labyrinths where ancient beasts, clockwork horrors, and AI run amok all want a piece of your headgear. It's an unforgiving gauntlet of trigger pulling and pattern memorizing, where every power-up matters and teamwork means everything, especially when the second player is an AI who doesn't always respect personal space. The gameplay is gritty run-and-gun mayhem served with a side of puzzle solving and key collecting. You're spraying bullets, you're navigating locked doors, timed switches, and labyrinthine levels while the chaos keeps crawling closer. It's like Gauntlet got a job at a steam-powered munitions factory and then quit violently.
Andy, we have
Okay.
Heart of Darkness. The moment Andy steps into the eerie, shadow-soaked realm to rescue his beloved dog Whiskey, you know this side-scroller dares to be different. You're immediately tossed into a beautifully animated cinematic world where danger lurks behind every vine, puddle, and weird-looking creature with teeth the size of your hopes. One moment you're dodging man-eating plants, and the next you're blasting shadow monsters with a plasma cannon like a preteen Ghostbuster. Andy's journey through Darkland, although is about saving his dog, it's also a metaphor-laden voyage through his own fears, especially the dark. Every puzzle you solve, every platform you leap over, pushes Andy deeper into a realm ruled by the Master of Darkness, who suspiciously looks like your worst teacher nightmare. And when you're not hurling energy bolts or manipulating magic meteor seeds, you're either dying 1,000 slapstick deaths or admiring the silky animation that makes this game feel like a playable cartoon. It's brutal, it's beautiful, and yep, it's a true DOS-era masterpiece.
Magellan. Extraction of biogenic sediments. 5,423 meters.
Archimedean Dynasty. Not many games toss you into a nuclear oceanic dystopia with the grace of a torpedo, and even fewer let you flirt with your ex-nemesis while piloting a sub named Succubus. Set centuries after Earth's surface is toast, this undersea epic submerges players in the grimiest geopolitics since Waterworld met a Tom Clancy fever dream. Here, you're Emerald Deadeye Flint, a sarcastic, debt-ridden merc with a torpedo launcher and too many ex-bosses. You take a boring sulfur escort job, only to get ambushed, abducted, released, and then shoved into a life of constant sub-swapping and political backstabbing. Typical Tuesday in Aqua. What starts as light courier duty spirals into underwater espionage, AI horror, and full-blown biomechanical war. From clunky rust buckets to sci-fi murder fish like the Zorn and Succubus, every ship comes with its own personality and upgrades. Guns, torpedoes, stealth tech, sonar ping toys, and loud, angry boosters. The missions blend stealthy recon with intense dogfights inside trench mazes, while your HUD screams at you like a caffeinated sonar technician.
Hear me. Take great care if you value your life.
Ecstatica 2. If you ever wondered what it'd be like to rescue your pixelated girlfriend, only to immediately get tied up in a demon-infested apocalypse while still nursing post-hero fatigue, this game delivers that exact vibe with glorious 90s weirdness. The moment you, the freshly revealed Prince of the Realm, return home from your tearish triumph, things hit the fan faster than you can say wedding bells. Your castle is now a hellhole of goblins, demons, and shirtless barbarians. Your people are toast, and to top it all off, your Lady Ecstatica gets swooped away by a flying nightmare. Tough honeymoon. What follows is a surreal, open-ended run through a grotesquely oversized castle, where you bash, slash, and spellcast your way past endless respawning monsters. Swords come in all shapes and sizes, and the game's spell system lets you play Magical Librarian, flipping scrolls into fireballs or lightning strikes. The unique ellipsoid graphics give everything a weird, dreamlike quality, as if Monty Python directed Castlevania. It's haunting, goofy, and oddly poetic. Rise of the Triad. You're stranded on a creepy island with your squad, and surprise, it's crawling with robe-wearing loonies trying to vaporize Los Angeles. Great. All communications down, your boat's been blown sky high, and the only way out is through a monastery full of armed cultists and literal jump pads that fling you like a Saturday morning cartoon. Things escalate quickly from suspicious cult to save the world from total annihilation, and you're the poor soul stuck cleaning up the mess, armed to the teeth with dual pistols, rocket launchers, and whatever magical mayhem you can find in glowing orbs. Gameplay is a glorious symphony of exploding bodies, secret doors, fake dead enemies, and the occasional power-up that turns you into an invincible god with a glowing hand. Choose from 5 quirky operatives with stats that actually matter, unlock up to 13 wild weapons, and fire off missiles like it's your second language. Multiplayer? Oh, it's there, and it's utter chaos. Up to 11 people, 9 game modes, and enough friendly fire to ruin a friendship. Everything is bloody, fast, loud, and totally unhinged, the way 90's DOS gaming legends were meant to be. And yes, there will be ludicrous gibs. Darkseed. You move into a creepy old mansion hoping for peace and maybe a little inspiration for your next novel. Instead, surprise brain surgery by a biomechanical alien embryo in your sleep. That's how your first night goes. Now you're racing against time, tripping between 2 realities, the normal world and its horrific counterpart, the dark world, to prevent an interdimensional apocalypse and stop the little parasite wiggling in your skull like it owns the place. Oh, and you've got 3 in-game days. Tick-tock. This game slaps it away and laughs in your face. Miss a single timed step? Congrats, you're doomed. Better reload that save and relive every creepy pixelated conversation you've already endured. Puzzles require careful attention across both worlds, where even a grandfather clock holds secrets, and the mirror in your living room doubles as a cosmic teleportation hub. You'll meet dark world doppelgangers, chat with alien librarians, and eventually blow up an ancient power source while slowly unraveling the question, is this really happening? Or are you just going mad? JimPower. You're dropped into a world so hyperactive, even your eyeballs need a seatbelt. Welcome to the land of parallax, scrolling so intense it might just rip a hole in space-time. And your patience. You'll jump, run, shoot, fly, and scream as a pixel-sized action hero on a mission that doesn't even pretend to make sense. Aliens? Yes. Laser eyes? Probably. Rotating vortex stages that'll chew your face and spit it into Mode 7 madness? Oh, absolutely. You'll alternate between side-scrolling carnage, top-down bullet dodging, and horizontal shmup sections that feel like Contra on a triple espresso. There's no such thing as a breather. Blink and you'll respawn. And don't get too cozy. This game laughs in the face of mercy. It's absurdly difficult, gloriously relentless, and paired with 3D glasses that don't actually do much except make your headache fancier. Still, the Pulfric effect and Chris Hulsbeck's heroic soundtrack create a sensory overload worth the retinal confusion.
Friends? Friends? We've only gone out together 3 times, and already you're telling me you just want to be friends?
Sam and Max hit the road. Let's be real, solving crimes with logic is boring. Why not do it with a wisecracking dog in a fedora and his barely contained psychotic bunny sidekick? That's how things roll in this loud, loony road trip across a bizarro version of America, where Bigfoot kidnappings are normal, vortexes are magnet-controlled, and every diner is legally obligated to be a Snuckies. You're not just clicking to solve puzzles, you're unleashing dialogue so ridiculous it should come with a warning label. Armed with sarcasm, inventory madness, and Max's occasional violent outbursts, this isn't just a point-and-click, it's a point-and-cackle. The puzzles swing between brilliantly clever and comedically bonkers, and every tourist trap visited is a new setup for some delightfully weird side quest. Oh, and you can't die or get stuck. It's foolproof. Well, as long as your definition of foolproof includes using dinosaur teeth in spells and rescuing Bigfoot from a country western villain with a Liverpudlian accent. Backed by voice acting that chews through every scene like it's made of cartoon beef jerky, this one still feels like the gold standard of adventure absurdity. If you've never fired a bazooka at sentient bungee cords, you haven't truly gamed in the golden age of DOS.
Great big ocean!
Grand Theft Auto plus London. Before it was all jets, heists, and five-star chaos, this series took a groovy detour to the swinging streets of London, where the tea's hot, the slang's hotter, and every copper's looking to nick you. Instead of sunny Vice City or dark Liberty, this psychedelic trip drops you into 1969 England, complete with classic minis, Austin Powers-level fashion, and phone booths that don't time travel but definitely dial up the crime. You'll still be gunning for high scores, dodging the fuzz, and launching missions from ringing phone boxes, but everything's now slathered in Britpop charm and era-appropriate sass. Want to ram a getaway car down Carnaby Street while The Who blasts in your head? This is your jam. The game doesn't change up the formula too much. It's still all about chaos points, getaway antics, and that glorious top-down mayhem. But what it lacks in mechanical evolution, it makes up for in mod-era flair. Raptor Call of the Shadows. Nothing screams Merc for hire like hopping into a jet armed to the teeth and vaporizing everything from oil rigs to moon bases, all for the love of money. In this neon-tinged bullet bonanza, you're flying solo in a sleek Raptor, the kind of death machine that makes insurance companies weep. Your mission? Blow up literally everything that isn't you. Competitors, buildings, turrets, the occasional ancient temple. Because Megacorp wants their business rivals reduced to sizzling scrap metal. Each level is called a wave, which is hilarious because it's less a wave and more a tidal flood of bullets, lasers, and death. From Earth's coastlines and refineries to icy moons and lava-choked alien worlds, it's a non-stop interplanetary demolition derby. Between missions, you hit the shop, flipping credits like a Wall Street trader to snag auto-tracking turrets, instant death lasers, and megabombs that scream, "I'm tired of this level," in every direction. Unlike those fragile paper planes and other shmups, your Raptor is a flying tank. Alien Carnage. Strap on your jetpack and light up the undead, because Earth's fate rests in the hands of a man named Halloween. Harry, yes, that's his real name, and yes, he's humanity's last line of defense against a global alien zombie apocalypse. In this gloriously 90s side-scroller soaked in neon green goo and pop culture references, you'll blast through city sewers and alien-infested labs armed with nothing but a flamethrower and a borderline caffeine addiction. Rather than jumping like a normal platform hero, Harry takes the airborne route with a fuel-hungry jetpack that doubles as your flame spewer's gas tank. Burn too much and you'll be grounded, literally. Ammo's tight, fuel's tighter, and those zombies won't stop doing the moonwalk. Yes, there are Elvis-looking ones. To stay alive, Harry chugs soda, eats fast food, and rescues hostages who heal him like they're trained medics. If that's not 90s logic, nothing is. Superfrog. Nobody ever expects to gain superpowers from a bottle of fizzy orange liquid floating in a river. But here we are, and you are now a lycra-clad frog on a mission to save your girl and kick a witch right in the broomstick. This fairy tale curse quickly turns into a sugar-fueled platforming frenzy filled with fruit, coins, slot machines, and high-octane froggy jumps. That's right, this frogged-out prince is on a one-amphibian warpath to reclaim his royal life and maybe down a few more bottles of Lucozade along the way. Gameplay here is fast, smooth, and way too fun. You'll spring through candy-colored forests, spooky castles, underwater zones, and even a circus while chasing coins like a caffeine-deprived raccoon. Each level demands coin collection to unlock the exit, but that's just the start. Bonus points, fruit, hidden lives, and even a ridiculous casino minigame await if you're feeling lucky with your hard-earned credit tokens. There's even a surprise shmup level thrown in because why not? And let's not forget that smug witch who'll catch your flipper justice at the end. Alien breed. Crawling through claustrophobic corridors, watching your ammo count like it's your last breath, and blasting alien slime bags into pixel soup. This one's not for the faint of trigger finger. You're dropped straight into a space station that's basically one bad day away from becoming an all-you-can-eat buffet for xenomorphs. And guess what? You're the main course. Inspired by the Alien films, but played like Gauntlet with guns, this top-down shooter really tests your nerve. The gameplay is all about tight hallways, flickering lights, locked doors, and enemies that sound like a garbage disposal stuffed with teeth. You're not just mowing down bugs, you're conserving ammo, finding keycards, watching for sneaky ambushes, and praying the door ahead doesn't contain a hive. The radar constantly blips with dread, and if you're playing solo, it's you versus a whole space zoo of monstrosities. But if you've got a buddy, it turns into the galaxy's grimiest co-op dance of death. Risky Woods. Some games hand you a sword, a prophecy, and a noble destiny. This one hurls you into a nightmare forest with throwing knives and the vague hope that stone monks won't try to kill you. Welcome to the unholy chaos that is Risky Woods, a platformer where the title doesn't just describe the setting, it warns you about your upcoming rage quits. Here, you play as Rohan, a young hero with the not-so-enviable task of rescuing ancient monks who've been turned into statues. Some of them will thank you, others will leap off their pedestal and try to end your entire bloodline. It's a game of spiritual roulette. Combat is constant and relentless, with everything from skeletons to floating demons swarming you while coins and chests rain from the sky like a fantasy-themed slot machine. Levels are riddled with trapdoors, toll gates requiring eye keys, and weapon upgrades that somehow make your boomerang of death even deadlier. Tank Wars. Before Scorched Earth dominated school computer labs and office break rooms, there was a chaotic little gem with big explosions and even bigger attitude, Tank Wars. Originally titled Bomb, which tells you everything you need to know about its priorities, this turn-based artillery game tossed you and up to 9 others, human or CPU, into pixelated trench warfare, where trajectory, wind, and budget were your only friends. The premise is simple but gloriously destructive. Blast your opponents into low-res smithereens using an escalating arsenal of absurd weapons, from wimpy missiles to full-on thermonuclear carnage. Every shot is a gamble. Every turn is a chance to either obliterate your enemies or nuke yourself with the grace of a potato cannon. You'll earn cash based on your kills, which you'll gleefully spend on shields, guidance systems, nukes, or good old-fashioned cluster bombs in the next round. What Tank Wars had over its spiritual successors, besides its madcap charm, was team play. Instead of pure deathmatch chaos, you could form uneasy alliances, launching volleys together while nervously watching your teammate accidentally aim just a little too close.
Let the gods be thanked, we are still alive, and the island appears to be fruitful. We still do not know if we are the only people here.
Settlers 2. Sometimes building an empire means micromanaging bread deliveries like your life depends on it. Welcome to a land where your true enemy is really the shortage of pickaxes. Here, you're not commanding faceless armies with bloodlust in their hearts, you're guiding a crew of peaceful settlers whose entire day revolves around roadwork, bread baking, and logistical nightmares. And it's glorious. You're a Roman captain, shipwrecked and surprisingly motivated, armed with only optimism, lumber, and enough blue flags to start your own festival. Instead of summoning troops with the click of a button, you'll spend hours lovingly laying down road networks, producing iron bars, growing wheat, and turning it all into spears, beer, or bricks. Because in this world, everything is connected. Want soldiers? Better hope your baker got flour, which means your farmer planted wheat, which means your woodcutter built a field. You get the picture. Redneck Rampage. When your prize pig gets snatched by aliens, and the only solution involves pork rinds, moonshine, and a 12-gauge, you know you're in a game that doesn't take itself too seriously. You'll be stepping into the boots of Leonard or Bubba, two heavily armed hillbilly brothers who just want their pig back, but instead get roped into blasting mutant rednecks, evil clones, and extraterrestrial varmints across the backwoods of Hexen, Arkansas. It's basically Doom meets Duck Dynasty, with more gas and less class. Gameplay in this gloriously unhinged first-person shooter is part chaos, part crude comedy, and part, did I just slip on cow poop? From the moment you crack open your first cold beer to regenerate health, you'll quickly learn that every power-up comes at a price. Overdo it with the pork rinds and you'll be crop dusting the countryside. Go full moonshine chugger and you'll be swaying like a busted swing set. And yet, you'll still be mowing down aliens in butcher shops, biker bars, and trailer parks with shotguns, dynamite crossbows, and explosive chickens. Dragonsphere. It starts like every noble tale should, with a kingdom in peril, a wizard locked in a magical prison, and a freshly crowned king setting out to stop the return of ultimate evil. But then things spiral into glorious chaos. That king? Yeah, not really the king. Just a shape-shifting actor named Pid Shuffle playing royalty like it's opening night at a cursed Renaissance fair. And that evil sorcerer you're supposed to stop? Turns out he's just the warm-up act to a full-blown royal conspiracy, complete with family betrayal, magical backstabbing, and one very scheming queen mother. This 1994 point-and-click fantasy epic is laced with riddles, rich dialogue, and gorgeous 256 color graphics that still hit like enchanted nostalgia potions. The gameplay leans heavily into exploration, inventory puzzles, and unraveling the deep political and magical threads running through the land of Gran Kalahak. You'll be forging alliances, facing off against shape-changers, and uncovering magical truths, all while realizing the fate of the realm might actually rest on the shoulders of a professional impersonator with a flair for dramatics. MDK. He's a janitor in a bulletproof morphing suit. His sidekick is a six-limbed robotic dog with a gardening addiction. And his boss? An unhinged scientist who mistook a space glitch for the future of physics. Welcome to the weird, wild, and wonderfully stylish world of Earth-saving via orbital dive bombing. The plan? Strap on your coil suit, jump out of a space station named Jim Dandy, and crash land straight into alien mining crawlers the size of entire cities. Because diplomacy is for people not named Kurt Hectic. What follows is an absurdly beautiful run-and-gun ballet of chaos. You'll glide through the air with a ribbon parachute, unleash chain guns and smart bombs, and snipe with 100x zoom while watching bullets in slow-mo cam mode. The levels? Wildly different every time. One moment you're snowboarding through enemy turrets, the next you're bombing from a hijacked alien ship or triggering the world's most interesting bomb, just to see enemies gather around it like moths to a nuclear disco ball. Degeneration. If you're delivering packages and suddenly end up zapping mutant bioweapons in a cyberpunk tower filled with security lasers, then congrats, you've just walked into a typical day in this isometric nightmare masquerading as a courier gig. This one's all about navigating floor after floor of deadly puzzles, killer blobs, and corporate secrets more twisted than a pretzel at a biotech symposium. You'll grab a bounce-happy laser gun, mess with teleporters, collect keys, and do your best not to get crushed, zapped, absorbed, or deceived by shape-shifting science experiments gone rogue. The gameplay looks all clean and grid-like at first, nice and orderly. Then a turret blasts you into next Tuesday, or a smiling civilian turns out to be a C-generation death machine in disguise. So what do? Survive long enough to reach the top floor and unravel a mess of unethical experiments, missing scientists, and one sentient bioweapon who just wanted some freedom and maybe a nice cup of tea. Along the way, rescuing survivors actually matters. They give you extra lives and crucial info that turns the plot from Die Hard delivery guy to Blade Runner meets escape room. "2D Rayman." If you've ever wanted to punch evil in the face with no arms whatsoever, then this wild, limbless hero's got you covered. Bursting onto the scene in 1995 with more personality than limbs, this platforming icon quickly hop-skipped his way into retro royalty. Set in an enchanting dreamscape where logic takes a coffee break, you'll traverse levels made of pencils, musical instruments, and other delightful fever dreams. It's not just style over substance either. These levels demand sharp reflexes and even sharper timing as you bounce, float, and punch your way past grinning hazards and psychedelic bosses. The platforming starts out whimsical and cheerful, but don't be fooled. This game will absolutely test your patience with pixel-perfect jumps and deviously hidden secrets. The music? An earworm symphony of charm. The visuals? A glorious splash of Saturday morning cartoon vibes turned interactive. And our hero? Rayman may lack limbs, but he's got heart, sass, and enough power-packed punches to make a boxing kangaroo jealous. "3D Screamer 2." This racing one was about surviving the absolute madness of gravity-defying chaos with a white-knuckled grin. Rocket through blistering hot Egyptian ruins, only to fishtail seconds later across ice-slick Nordic tundras where every hairpin corner feels like a final exam in survival. The game made every spine-out crash and scream feel real, thanks to physics that didn't just say, "Oops, you crashed." They punished you for disrespecting the road. Customization was king here. With 20 ultra-tuned beasts to trick out, you were fine-tuning monsters that would either grip the road or launch you into orbit mid-drift. And let's talk about those tracks. These weren't safe loops with gentle curves. Each was a handcrafted death trap of slants, slopes, and split-second decisions that turned every lap into a sweaty-palmed memory. And there you have it. 40 glorious blasts from the pixelated past that proved DOS gaming wasn't just an era, it was a lifestyle. From floppy disk heroes to VGA-fueled chaos, these gems defined what gaming could be. Whether you were conquering kingdoms, running from biomutants, or just figuring out how to install a sound driver, these titles carved memories into our brains with every frame. So, which of these digital time machines hit you hardest in the nostalgia? Drop your favorites in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Retro Pocket for more deep dives into gaming's golden years.